What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that.
News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, the big story trending this morning is yesterday's Michigan primary. Both President Joe Biden easily winning the Democratic presidential primary in Michigan. There was, however, a protest vote by Democrats that are angry over his support of Israel's war against Hamas. Donald Trump then easily winning the Republican presidential primary by a really large margin, strengthening his grip then on the nomination. I think Trump, as the numbers were breaking down, Trump was up 48 points over Nikki Haley. And then he fell below those expectations. So as of last night, he was then leading Haley by under 40 points. He was expected to do better. There were a significant number of people who voted for Nikki Haley. And her campaign then continues to say that no way Trump can win in November, and that's what you're seeing with the support for Nikki Haley. Also, a long-shot presidential candidate, Republican Ryan Binkley, suspended his campaign last night. He didn't even crack 1% of the votes in any early state contest. So, if you don't, Ryan Binkley, I am sadly not even aware of who he is. He's a 56-year-old pastor from Texas and businessman. So he was the last Republican in the race other than Trump and Haley. He has now bowed out. So he suspended his campaign and thanking his supporters and family. Also, special counsel Jack Smith argued Monday that Donald Trump's handling of classified documents was worse than Joe Biden's retention of classified documents. It was worse. So this was in response to Trump's motion to dismiss his case based on selective and vindictive prosecution. Smith argued there are no examples of anyone engaging in remotely similar conduct as Trump. Also, Letitia James is live tweeting. Then she's tweeting each day. You know, Trump recently had that $455 million judgment against him. This is due to the New York fraud case. And so New York Attorney General Letitia James is every day on social media posting the exact figure with interest now. So she's counting it down to the cent. That his interest adds on another day, more interest, tax on how much then Trump owes, and she's doing it each day. No, but that's not selective prosecution. No, that's not what we're seeing. Also, this is just crazy what's going on with Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. She's the Fulton County district attorney then, whose actions are being examined in court. And it's just wild. So now the Nathan Wade's divorce lawyer is going to have to testify about his knowledge of the relationship between Willis and Wade. And things became pretty tense yesterday as they were talking about this. So it's getting difficult to keep track of all these cases. All of these cases against Trump. It's a little bit difficult to keep track of all of them. Also, Donald Trump's lawyers want to block Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen from testifying at in his New York trial over hush money. So Trump's attorney moved to block testimony from Cohen and two women that he paid to stay quiet about affairs that they said they had with Trump. So, I mean, in the midst of all that we're seeing, I'm like, that story is trending? Seriously? Wow. New York City Mayor Eric Adams appearing to take a step back when it comes to migrant laws that had been put in place then when New York City was considered to be a sanctuary city. He's starting to walk that back. And Adams said, we need to modify the sanctuary city law. Need to do away with them is what you need to do. You need to do away with these sanctuary city laws. And he said there needs to be a modification. And he said, I still don't understand why the federal government isn't allowing them to work. They need to have the right to work, like all of us that have come to this country have had the ability to do so. But those small numbers that have committed crimes, we need to modify the sanctuary city law that if you commit a felony or violent act, we should be able to turn you over to ICE and have you deported, he said. So the crowd loved that. Again, I just keep asking, isn't that just more indication of why the sanctuary city laws are a sham? I mean, these cities who say, no, you sanctuary here. Haven't you invited that? Now you suddenly, when faced with the reality of that, did we say that? Oh, no. Also, the Pentagon talking about their bungled response then to Lloyd Austin's hospitalization. They have been looking into that. There was an internal report on the matter released on Monday. It's trending this morning. And the bottom line is that his hospitalization was not the result of an attempt to mislead anybody, whether government officials or the public. It was not an attempt to mislead. And Austin has been, pretty candid about that. Also, Representative Ken Buck, who has been a critic in the past of impeaching Joe Biden, he says he wants to see the vice president oust Biden using the 25th Amendment. And he introduced a resolution on Monday calling on Harris to convene a cabinet meeting and invoke the 25th Amendment, saying and finding that the president at the age of 81 is incapable of executing the duties of his office. Another story trending this morning, New York City doctor died shortly after he'd had a meal at Disney World restaurant that was not allergen-free, according to a wrongful death lawsuit. So he was having dinner back in October of last year, and I'm messing up the sex here. I don't know if it's a he or a she. It's a she. She was having dinner with her husband and his mother. And so the lawsuit states that She told the waiter that she had severe allergies to dairy and nuts and asked him to confirm that various items on the menu were able to be served allergen-free. And the waiter then confirmed that they could do that, and apparently they're alleging that did not happen. And so they're suing as a result. Also, Toyota is recalling over 380,000 Tacoma midsize pickup trucks here in the U.S., and they say because a part can separate from the rear axle and increase the risk of a crash. So if you've got a Tacoma midsize pickup truck, look into that recall. Apple says they are canceling their effort to build an electric car. They've been working on this for the past decade. And people with knowledge of the matter say that Apple is abandoning the project. So 2 executives told staffers the project will begin winding down and that many employees on the car team will be shifted to the AI unit, the artificial intelligence unit. Also, the police chief of Houston says his department suspended over 264,000 criminal investigations since 2016. They had to suspend them. That's about 10% of all, to put it in perspective, winds up being about 10% of all incidents reported to Houston police. And the mayor is saying that's completely unacceptable. And the chief said, we're moving additional personnel to other investigative divisions to address these incident reports. But a great number of criminal investigations that just wind up being suspended. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a disaster declaration yesterday. This is because of widespread wildfires in the panhandle of Texas. Conditions there have been hot and dry, and that's fueling then the growth of these fires. So the disaster declaration in Texas included about 60 counties. Also, Louisiana murder suspect is on the run. He faked a medical emergency and then pepper sprayed a deputy, took off in her SUV, officials say. So he was being taken from a hospital back to jail Sunday night when he created some type of disturbance. When the deputy was transporting him, went to check on what was happening, he doused her with pepper spray and then jumped into the driver's seat of her Ford Explorer and took off. She fired 3 shots at him, and it's not known if any of the rounds struck him, but the sheriff, he's a murder suspect. Sheriff warned that he probably feels like he's got nothing to lose because he was already in for second-degree murder and facing life in prison. I definitely consider him armed and dangerous. Macy's says they are closing 150 stores across the United States. They will do this, close these stores over the next 3 years. And they announced this yesterday. Sales are down, declining sales, fourth quarter losses. And they said instead Macy's is going to pivot to luxury brands. So they said they would open 15 of its higher-end Bloomingdale's stores and 30 of its Blue Mercury Cosmetics locations. So they're closing some of the Macy's stores in favor of more of these high-end Bloomingdale stores and cosmetics locations that they're opening instead, trying to make up the loss in that way. And then finally, Japan's space agency said earlier this week that their slim moonlander has survived through the lunar night, which are cold, baby. They are absolutely cold. The lunar night, so the moon faced away from the sun. And the slim then lander, after the lunar night, it survived it and was able to, they were able to regain contact. So it touched down on the lunar surface last month and makes Japan the fifth country to put a probe on the moon. And then a company in the United States, Odysseus, followed suit last week. They placed one on the moon. So more and more we are seeing these private companies that are undertaking these trips to the moon and landing these lunar landers on the moon, and it marks then with the landing of Odysseus, then it marks America's return to the moon in decades. Quite a number of years since America has been to the moon. But Japan Space Agency said they have regained contact with their moon lander, and their lander survived the lunar night, and so will continue to proceed. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery.